A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Jessica Brown, co-director of Station Theater, Jennifer Hedaya, executive director of Air Alliance Houston, and Marcus Davis, owner of the Breakfast Club restaurant. Jessica, Jennifer, Marcus, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thank you.
Craig.
Thank you.
Hello.
Panel is Houston Public Media's Adam Zuvanich and Pablo Arauz Pena from KERA in Dallas reported this week the long-discussed high-speed railway between Houston and Dallas appears to be gaining renewed momentum. It was among the list of political understandings between the U.S. and Japan released by the White House Monday. The railway ideally would use Japanese technology to transport travelers between the two cities in about 90 minutes. An executive for Amtrak Tuesday reiterated the National Passenger Railroad Company's support of an estimated $30 billion plan to make it happen in partnership with the private Dallas-based Texas Central. Amtrak received a federal grant in December to further study the idea. Still, only about 30% of the land needed to do it has been secured for the project, and some property owners along the route oppose it. They may not in the end have a choice, as the Texas Supreme Court ruled in 2022 that Texas Central has legal authority to acquire land through eminent domain. That high-speed rail project hasn't died yet and may be coming back to life. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Jessica Brown?
I think that it has the potential to be a couple of things. I think that the fact that we would have transportation getting us to and from Houston and Dallas quickly would be pretty amazing. It would definitely help with business, with tourism, all of those types of things. But the thought of folks losing their land is something that is kind of difficult. That's something that I know a lot of folks in our area have had to deal with recently, too, including, our family, because we have some land that's up near where 99 is. And so thankfully, it hasn't been the issue of eminent domain. But that's just something that I always find really challenging, is that someone would have to give up their home or, especially something that's been in their family for generations. And, it's very sad to think about that. Unfortunately, technology and moving things along always has some potential negative things. And so I guess figuring that out. But, the other thing that I think about, that 90 minutes, that takes you away from Buc-ee's. You don't have the opportunity to stop at Buc-ee's. You don't get the chance to go in and, get your, priorities, right? Unless maybe they have Buc-ee's sponsoring the train and they have like a whole train of Buc-ee's right there. I think that there's good and there's bad and definitely ugly in this. I think that's kind of a combination of all three. It just depends on what side you're looking at.
All right. Jennifer Hedaya, good, bad, or Buc-ee's?
You're welcome.
Well, first I have to say, long-time listener, first-time non-expert panelist, so I'm thrilled to be here. Craig, I think in my day job, I do a lot of thinking about air quality and the sources of pollution. And in Houston, one of the major sources of pollution is cars. So I have to agree. I think any mass transportation option that pulls cars off the road is a good thing. And the last estimate I read is that this would pull about 12,000 cars off the road. That's 12,000 fewer sources of air pollution. But again, I agree. I think it also has the potential to be quite ugly because of the issues around eminent domain and right-of-way. And we have seen some very ugly, inequitable applications of eminent domain here in Houston around the I-45 expansion project. So in general, good. And to prevent it from being ugly, I would hope that those in charge of the project are truly mindful of what my fellow panelist was saying about what land and property mean to people around intergenerational wealth and quality of life, and that they'll make the process as transparent as possible, as equitable as possible, and with fair market value. So good, we can keep it from being ugly, I hope.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Marcus Davis.
When this first came out, or when I first heard of it, I think I was 5 maybe.
It's been a while.
Yeah. I immediately thought, okay, this could be a good thing, because I think it was, it was Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, I think, when they first started talking about it. I'm not certain.
I think so, yeah.
nonetheless, I thought, oh, how cool. And I'm thinking strictly from a business standpoint because, the easier it is for people to get to the city of Houston, the better it is for the city of Houston. But then I thought about it, and there's a part of me, the diehard Houstonian, that just has no desire to get there quicker to that bland city up 45 North. And I was like, no, this means I can get there quick, and I don't really want to be there because it's so bland and blah. And yeah, I just...
You can get back quicker.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You can get back faster, too.
We can get back faster. And seeing as to how they have a fake team up there that pretends to be champions, I have less of a desire to be closer to the bland city.
How about if it's a 10-hour trip to Dallas and 90 minutes coming back?
So I'm speaking from a standpoint of I benefit tremendously from the city of Dallas because we have a lot of tourist visitors that come to our establishment from Dallas. So love y'all. I was just joking. But the ugly part is the eminent domain. I'm a businessman, and I understand, things have to happen, and I understand, the world changes and things must move forward, so on and so forth. And I understand, when municipalities and government entities need to do things, right? Need being the operative word, right? This is a need versus, hey, it'd be cool to have this. Yes, it would provide possibly some relief with polluting the air. And if there are 12,000 cars, we wonder how many hundreds of families would be taken advantage of or displaced as a result of this. But I do have somewhat of a solution. I don't know if they would be interested. I don't think that eminent domain should take place if there's going to be private profit. And if there is going to be private profit, then I think the participants should include the people who were eminently domained. So, for example, if you take my land and you're going to build this massive thing that's going to, cost billions of dollars, then I should share in the profits on some level, right? Treat me as though I were the developer who bought the land and brought it to the table,
right? That's a great idea.
Where I would profit from it. Last thing, I wonder how, because this has taken a long time. I didn't know that there was anything that had taken longer than the Astrodome. This has taken. And I'm just wondering, by the time we get this thing up, done, and built, we'll be able to TikTok our way from one city to the next,
Probably,
right? We'll be
yeah.
able to Instagram ourselves from one city to the next. Okay, I'm done.
Well, and how do we know? I mean, obviously, cutting it down from like 4 hours to 90 minutes is a big deal. But how do you know that you're going to get the numbers? How do you know that you're first are going to get the people off of the road? I mean, so many of us Texans, we like to drive
And stop at Buc-ee's.
Exactly. I would really hope that if it does happen, that it does work. But if it doesn't, then
now trust me, I believe it would work. Just simply because, look, I've made sense of flying to Dallas, even though it's 45, 55 minutes
Right.
versus driving, because, by the time I drive out to the airport, right, which is 45 minutes away, and then get loaded, and then I was like, man, I could be halfway there, and I could be eating some, good old snacks that I picked up on the side of the road.
Right. Beaver nuggets.
From a store, not the side of the road.
There are
Glad you
apparently
clarified.
these so-called super commuters that are going back and forth,
Right.
Houston and Dallas all the time. To your point of, will there be the numbers if there are that many of them? And I'm, spoken like true Houstonians, I'm sorry that that's the case for them. But if that's really true, then this could pull them out of planes or cars and give them an option.
True.
That as someone who used to mass transit commute in other cities, that's
Yeah.
a real benefit. You
Well,
read,
and-
you check up on life, you take a nap instead of having to drive your car.
Whenever this should actually happen, if it ever actually happens, do you really think in the end it'll be a 90-minute trip? Because part of the issue all along has been how many stops along the way might there need to be.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, and as I understand it, the project is proposing one major pickup here in the Houston area, not in downtown or the Med Center or the places where you think people would be commuting for
I think
business.
the Northwest.
Yeah. So there
Oh,
will
that's
also
right.
be that time. If you are using it, you have to get yourself to it, park somewhere there, very likely, and then get yourself where you are going once you arrive in Dallas. So there will be time in the front and the end and then the reverse. So it's probably not reasonable to say from your home to your business and back, it's going to be 90 minutes. There are going to be those points, but it might still be shorter, certainly be shorter than a drive, and it might still be about the same as an airplane ride. Now, if they can keep the price point, I think that's a key piece too.
Agree.
If the price point of the ticket is hardly any different than the price point of a plane ride, then I think it's going to be hard to encourage that shift. But if it's competitively priced and maybe the same amount of time or a little less, you might see it as a viable alternative.
And Bucky's on board.
There you go.
Bucky's car.
Panel, retired Philadelphia Eagles center Jason Kelce has reportedly lost his Super Bowl ring from 2018 in an inflatable pool of Skyline chili. Kelce, brother of Travis Kelce, a.k.a. Mr. Taylor Swift, apparently lost it during the Brothers New Heights podcast live show in Cincinnati during a portion of the show at the University of Cincinnati's Fifth Third Arena, during which contestants were tasked with finding his championship ring wrapped in a sock and buried in a vat of Cincinnati's famous Skyline chili. Some chili-covered socks included fake or replica rings, for the fun, but none of the contestants found the real thing. Kelce says it's safe to assume the ring is, quote, now in a landfill someplace in the Cincinnati tri-state area. Jason Kelce loses his 2018 Super Bowl ring in a pool of Skyline chili. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Jennifer.
Okay, I think anytime a story ends at a landfill, the only answer is ugly. But there's also a mystery here, right? The ring hasn't actually been found. The landfill is a speculation of where the ring has become. So that leads me to wonder, was there some bad blood between the chili company and Jason Kelce and the event was sabotaged? Did someone actually find the ring, pocket it, and just not come forward to say, I'm the problem, it's me? Bottom line, this is a ring, I'm positive he wished he had not shaken off, because it's clear they are never, ever getting back together.
Ever.
Good, bad, or ugly, Marcus.
This is crazy. I mean, I read this thing like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, what in the heck are they talking about? And who came up with this? And why did they come up with this? And how much of that little green plant did they consume when they thought that this was a great idea?
You have seen interviews with Jason Kelce before, right?
So let me say this. I think those guys they're a hoot, right? They I know they do some wild stuff. I remember when he was catching all of that flack for taking his shirt off and being in the thing, and I was like, no, leave the guys alone. Big guys with bellies and beer.
It's fine.
That's his chili belly.
I love it. But I think that was the night. I think when he had consumed all of those beers and he was in the stadium at the game watching it, someone said, hey, let's do a chili contest.
And you're a food expert. Like, how hard is it to find or lose chili?
Well, technically speaking, we are talking about Skyline chili, and I don't know if we can really define that as food.
Isn't that the one that they serve over spaghetti?
They do. That's the one part of it that I think is okay.
Okay.
Good, bad, or ugly, Jessica?
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, it's bad because he lost his Super Bowl ring. I mean, I'm down for like a really weird promo. I mean, obviously, as an improviser, we do strange things on stage all the time. But like, why would you put your actual Super Bowl ring in a sock in a vat of chili? Even if the chili is air quotes, that doesn't really matter. But, like one of the things that I absolutely love about the Taylor Swift phenomenon, and by the way, props to the Taylor Swift.
Thank you.
Shout outs there. I love the fact, A, that you chose this on the week that Taylor Swift's new album is coming out. B, that the fact that we were able to get to know these brothers. I mean, I am someone who does not pay attention to sports. I would never have known who they are if it weren't for the Taylor Swift connection. And I absolutely look forward to seeing them pop up in TikToks and videos and things like that. But it's specifically for Kylie Kelce, because she is amazing and does not take Jason's crap. So beyond anyone, I would love to hear what she has to say about all of this.
Yeah, because she had a lot to say after that. Yeah. Well, look, I have to share my side. I missed all of the shout outs because I know nothing about Taylor
Yeah.
Swift except she is the girlfriend of Travis Kelce.
Oh, see, I love that.
I don't know a song.
Yeah.
Whatever you shot, it went right over my head.
There were 3
Yeah,
lyrics
'cause
you
I-
shouted out?
4.
4. I knew I
because
was.
I am
Swifties.
clueless. And it brings me to the point that I didn't mention. The ring has gone missing, and has anyone asked the Swift Nation to go figure out what happened to it.
Oh my gosh! If anybody's going to find it,
If
it's going to be
anybody
the
can
Swift
find it.
Nation.
That's actually
the Swifty
true.
Nation.
It
Yeah,
would be the Swift Nation.
you're absolutely
There's,
right.
there's
If
probably hints in the
if
podcast
it could
somewhere.
be found,
Yeah.
that's it. If
It's
it could be
Probably
found.
in that pop-up for the new
Yeah.
album in one of those drawers. I did not think I would ever become a Taylor Swift fan until I went with my sisters to the concert, and I saw how much my one sister was so happy, and like looking around and seeing the faces of all of the different women around me, and just seeing how engaged they are and how much the stories meant to them. Like, I never thought that was going to happen to me. I'm 51 years old. I became a Swiftie at 50. This is ridiculous.
No, that's the same. Same. I went to
Right?
the concert with my goddaughter, who was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And it was incredible to see all of the generations of people and young, incredible women going with their families, their fathers, and also the same thing repeating itself at the Super Bowls, right? Having
Exactly.
this connection between sports and music, between families that brought people together. And yeah, I would agree. That was an eye opener. And my goddaughter's very first concert here in Houston, not in Dallas.
But back to the ring.
Yes.
Actually, I do have another thing. We did a corporate training event a couple of days ago, and we have this one thing that we do where we kind of step out and we say something true about ourselves. And the people who agree with you, they walk closer to you. It's called Orbits. It's one of our, like I said, our team building games. And I walked out in the middle of the room and I said, I will be listening to the Taylor Swift album on repeat. Nobody else stepped forward. And then suddenly 2 men very slowly walked out and they're like, hey, I got to listen to it for my daughters.
That's beautiful.
And
I love it.
I just was absolutely so inspired in that moment because, it brings folks to football, and I just love that. I love that maybe there's moments where fathers and daughters are getting together now
And
because
brings
of
people
this.
to singer-songwriter
Yeah.
effort and, really talented women entrepreneurs.
You did this, Craig.
Yes.
You did this. They're laughing at us.
I'd like to inform our listeners we'll be going long today.
But I hope he finds his ring.
I thought we were going to close swiftly.
Jessica Brown is co-director of Station Theater. Jennifer Hedaya is the executive director for Air Alliance Houston. Marcus Davis owns the Breakfast Club restaurant. Jessica, Jennifer, Marcus, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Say